سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم وترحم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما ترحمت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم وتحنن على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما تحننت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما سلمت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وارحم سيدنا محمدا وآل سيدنا محمد وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت ورحمت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذريته وأهل بيته كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد.
Hazreti Resul-i Ekrem ve Nebi Muhterem sallallahu teala aleyhi ve sellem Efendimiz Hazretlerinin aziz pak münevver mutahhar ruh şeriflerine salavat-ı şerife getirenlerin ahir ve akıbetleri hayrola. Âle ezvâc-ı tahiret evladı Resul-i Eshab-ı Güzin Efendilerimizin sair Enbiya-i Zam Resul-i Kiram Hazretlerinin ervâh-ı şeriflerine Pirimiz Bilal-ı Habeşi radıyallahu anh Efendimizin Mihmandar Resul-i Kibriya Eyyub Sultan Halid bin Zeyd Ebe Eyyub el-Ensari radıyallahu anh, Şah Murşidan Şeyh Hacı Muhammed Bahaddin Naksibendi el-Buhari, Mevlana Celaleddin el-Rumi, Mevlana Ziyaddin Halid el-Bağdadi, SahibulZaman Kıbletül İslam Şeyh Mevlana Muhammed Nazım Adil el-Hakkani, SahibulSaif Şeyh Abdulkerim Kibrisi el-Rabbani Kaddesallahu esraruhum haziratın ervah için. Hadimül Harimeyn-i Şerifeyn Yavuz Sultan Salim Han, Ebu'l-Fetvel Megazi Fatih Sultan Mehmed Han ve Serdar Hakan Sultan Abdülhamid Han cennet mekan Firdevs-i Aşiyan haziratının ervahına ve evne inayetine. Alel husus bu caminin banisi ve imam müezzin kayyım cemaatinin ve kafi ehli iman erva için. Allah rızası için El Fatiha. Euzubillahimineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. İnna Allaha ve melâiketehu yusallûne alen nebi. Ya eyyühellezîne âmenû sallu aleyhi ve sellimû teslîmâ. Allahümme salli ala seyyidina Muhammedin ve ala ali seyyidina Muhammed. Allahu Ekber, Allahu Ekber. Allahu Ekber, Allahu Ekber. Eşhedü en la ilahe illallah. Eşhedü en la ilahe illallah. Eşhedü enne Muhammeden Resulullah. Eşhedü enne Muhammeden Resulullah. Hayya ale's-salâh. Hayya ale's-salâh. Hayya alel-felâh. Hayya alel-felâh. Allahu Ekber, Allahu Ekber. La ilahe illallah.
La ilahe illallah. Seyyidina Mevlana Muhammed Resulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem. Elhamdülillah. Elhamdülillah. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecmain. Nahmedullah Teala ve nestağfiru eşhedü en la ilahe illallah vahdehu la şerike leh. Eşhedü enne seyyidina Muhammeden abduhu habibuhu resuluhu. Sallallahu aleyhi ve alihi ve ezvacihi ve seyyidina khulefai raşidin mahdiyyin min ba'di. Ve zalimmati alel tahkik hususan minhum ala lamiti khulefai rasulullah ala tahkik umarul mu'minin. Hazreti Ebu Bakır ve Umar ve Osman ve Ali ve ala baki sahabi tabi'in ridvanullah aleyhim ecmain. Ya eyyuhel mu'minul hazirun. İttakullaha ta innallaha ma'allezine teqvallezine muhsinun. Elhamdülillahi rabbil alamin. Ve salatu ve selamu ala eşrafil enbiya murselin. Seyyidina Mevlana Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve sahbihi ecmain. All praises are due to Allah, Lord of the universes. All praises are due to Allah, the first, the last, the manifest, the hidden, the one who has might and power over all things. May all peace and blessings be upon the Sultan of the Prophets, the Imam of the Messengers, the Master of the first and the last, Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. May peace and blessings be upon his noble family and blessed companions, especially upon the four Khulafai Rashidin, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, Hazrat Umar Farooq, Hazrat Osman al-Ghani, and Hazrat Ali al-Murtaza, and all those who follow them until the last day. May peace and blessings be upon the grand sheikhs of the Naksibendi order, the links in the golden chain that reaches to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and who continue his mission. May peace and blessings be upon the Osmanli sultans, the lions of Islam, who are humble to the believers and severe to the disbelievers, who were the helpers of the Mazlum and the nightmare of the Zalims. May Allah make them to rise again. May Allah let us to serve them. May Allah humiliate those who insult them. Ya ayyuhal mu'minun, O believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying at the end of Surah Al-Fatih, BismillahirRahmanirRahim, Muhammad is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And those with him are stern, forceful, against the disbelievers, and merciful amongst themselves. Sadaqallahu azim. When we see the miserable conditions of Muslims today, we ask ourselves, were there ever such believers? Yes, the Sahabi Kiram were like that. But who else? We must know who were those ones who fit into this ayat, who were ruling the world until just 100 years ago. Who were they? We will not say. We will take the answer from the Sultan of the Awliya, Shaykh Maulana Muhammad Nazim Adil al-Haqqani, Qaddasallahu sirruh. He is saying, O Lord, what can we do? What can we do now? What should we do? We are left without a master, without a sultan. May you send us a sultan soon. May you send the Ottomans, O Lord. They overpower everyone. There is a holy verse that confirms what we said. A people who loves, a people who he loves, and they love him. Find this holy verse. I'm calling the Ottomans for this, that they loved Allah and Allah loved them. Subhanallah. Al-Fatiha. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Our glorious Ajdad, our noble Padishahs, our majestic sultans are given the honor of being mentioned in the Holy Quran. Do you understand? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning them in His holy words that are not separate from Himself. Rasulullah alayhi wasallam is mentioning them in the hadith of Constantinople. What an honor they had. The ayat then is talking about the noble Ottomans. And yes, those Ottomans were on the way of the Sahaba Kiram. They lived for Allah. They bled for Allah. They suffered for Allah. With Osman Ghazi, they started as a small group. You can say one village. But with a passion in his heart that burns for Islam, the tree grew from his chest that spread from east to west. And for the first hundreds of years of the empire, they were Ghazi sultans. But then one sultan came, that his personality, his actions, his shan, it was like a sahabi of the Holy Prophet ﷺ was reborn on the earth. He fit so much to the ayats of Allah that history gave him the title of Yaus, the one who is stern, who is severe. And he was severe against zulm and batil and disbelief. Who? Yaus Sultan Salim Han Jannat Mekan, the first Ottoman Sultan who took the title of Khalifatullah. Sultan Salim Han, he changed the Ottomans from an empire of Ghazi sultans to become those who were dressed with the Khilafat. That the Khilafat passed through two empires, led by the Arabs, the Umayyads and the Abbasis. But with Sultan Salim Han, it passed to the Ajam. It passed to a new people, that Allah loves them and they love Allah. SahibulSaif Shaykh Abdulkerim al-Kibrisi Rabbani Qadasallah is explaining to us what Yaus Sultan Salim Han did, saying, the Ottoman Khalifa is taking over. They took the Khilafat, the Ottomans. The Seljuks were not Khalifas. They were under the ruling of the Khalifa. But the Ottomans also took the Khilafat with the Prophet's ﷺ's order. The Prophet ﷺ ordered Yaus Sultan Salim to go to Egypt to take the Khilafat, and he came to Egypt, conquered Egypt. In Egypt at that time, the Mamluks, they tried to test to see what the Ottomans are going to do. Sultan Salim was sending message saying, I am not like the Crusaders, and I am not Salahuddin. And I'm coming. If you don't turn the power to me, then I will not leave a single one of you living. He said, I'm coming, and I mean business. They said it's impossible that he's going to pass the desert. Before they knew he passed the desert, they were all shocked. So they still wanted to test. They sent some armies outside to stop the Ottomans, and Sultan Salim said, say to them, if they stand in front of us, I will not show mercy to them. They have to submit themselves. They submitted themselves. And inside Egypt, they all collapsed. Then he came to Damascus, taking over Damascus, ruling everywhere. Then the Abbasi Khalifa saw a dream that the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying to him, now pass the Khilafat to Selim. And they were coming and passing all the secrets. With it, all the holy belongings of Holy Prophet that the Khalifa has to have. And since then, they were holding it, the Khilafat and the kingdom together. The power of Islam. Nothing else. Are we understanding what he did? He crossed the Sinai desert with his army, Nobody thought it was possible. Nobody had done it before, but he was Yaus. He didn't care what anybody else thought. He cared what Holy Prophet ﷺ thought. He was the grandson of the one who brought the ships over the mountains. And when they entered the desert, he got off his horse. Some of the soldiers didn't know what to think, and they said, why is the Sultan getting off his horse and walking when this desert is hot enough to boil the blood of the horses? And they asked one of the viziers to find out what is happening. So the vizier, Hassan Jan, went to Sultan Salim and asked him why he dismounted. And Sultan Salim said, Ya Hassan, don't you see? Rasulullah ﷺ is walking in front of us. How can we stay on our horses when the Sultan of the world is walking? Allah loved him and he loved Allah. And he took the Khilafat. That for hundreds of years before this, the Khilafat had become just a symbol. Other dynasties, other families, they were ruling the world of Islam politically, split up here and there. And it was during that time that although the Muslims were the richest, their lands were very divided. And the Crusades came for hundreds of years. But they kept the Abbasi Khalifa with them in those times with them, just as a symbol of the legitimacy of their dynasty. But in reality, they claimed to be ruling the state on behalf of the Khalifa, because in reality the Khalifa did not have power. With Yaus Sultan Salim, the Khilafat was returned to the way it was in the time of the Sahabis. The Khalifa was the Amir al-Mu'minin, the prince of the believers. The Khalifa had power. The Khalifa ruled. The Khalifa once again became a shield. Holy Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, the Khalifa is a shield from behind whom you fight and by whom you are protected. They were Ghazi sultans. Sultan Salim was a Ghazi sultan. He spent his life on the horse, fighting in the way of Allah. And he was that kind of Khalifa who fought and protected, fierce to the disbelievers, humble to the believers. He went to break the backs of the Safavis, the Turkish Shia empire that had sprung up in Persia. And in Battle of Chaldiran, he broke their backs. And he's the one that was always looking after that Kizil Ilma that his grandfathers had talked about. That if it was not for the betrayal of some traitors, the seat of the Pope in Rome would be in his hands. That is the hero of Islam. We should teach our children about him. We should teach our children to want to be like him. And we should pray for another lion like him to come to bring this world out from the mess that it is in. His son was Kanuni Sultan Suleiman, the one that even the West is calling Suleiman the Magnificent. Sultan Salim only ruled for 8 years. His son Sultan Suleiman ruled for 46 years. And it was a struggle and effort of Sultan Salim that gave birth to the law and the flowering of the empire that took place under Sultan Suleiman. During the reign of Sultan Suleiman, the foundations that had been poured by Sultan Salim became firm and strong and could be built upon. And Sultan Suleiman built the great domes and minarets of the empire that spread justice and peace to the four corners of the earth. Understand how important that transition was from the Ghazi Sultanate to the Khilafat. Understand how much struggle had to happen, and understand that the Shan and the majesty of that Ottoman Empire was born out of that struggle and out of those great men who dedicated their lives to struggling for Allah. We all owe them a debt. We have Islam, and especially Ahlul Sunnat Islam, and especially Tasawwuf Islam because of them. We can call ourselves Muslims because of them. They changed the world. As the Mehtar is calling out to us, this history is the history of Fatih, the history of Selim, the history of Suleiman. This mihrab is of Sinanuddin. This minaret is of Sinan. The meaning is those great men, those lions, they did their job. They showed their shan. They changed history. They pleased Allah and His Prophet. Then the Mehteran are saying, Heidi, let's go. Wake up your sleeping legend. O Muslims, O Mu'mins, Murids, your destan is sleeping. Wake it up. The history of Islam is not complete. Definitely people are going to come who are going to finish writing the history that Sultan Salim and Sultan Suleiman had started writing. Definitely there are a people alive now that Allah loves them and they love Him. They are humble to the believers and stern to the disbelievers. They struggle in the way of Allah and don't fear the blame of the blamer. Find them and be with them. Because they are the ones who take only Allah and Rasulullah and the believers as their friend. And they are the fellowship of Allah. And they are victorious. May Allah make us to be with those ones. May Allah never let us abandon those ones. May Allah keep us in that fellowship. Amen. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك والحمد شيء قدير لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك والحمد شيء قدير لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك والحمد يحيي ويميت وعلى كل شيء قدير لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك كنت من الظالمين سبحان قدوس ربنا رب الملائكة والروح سبحان قدوس ربنا رب الملائكة سبحان قدوس ربنا رب إن دين عند الله الإسلام قام الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد